How's it going, y'all? It is Small StarCraft 2 with some more StarCraft 2 content. I am excited. A new patch note just dropped at some point in time today, evidently. Uh, I started reading it, and I got through possibly one of the Zerg changes, because those are at the beginning. And then I got pulled away, and then I thought, why not go through it, talk about it, and stick it up on YouTube? I've never done this before, but we're figuring it out. I'm so excited. Let's get into this. I don't know what other people do is they cover it and then they talk they read it all first and they talk about it. That's what I may do first. Okay. We've tried to make this public test roam, I think, focus on extending the early and mid game experience, allowing players to remain competitive on 1 to 3 bases for longer periods, similar to Brood War, honestly. We've introduced changes to make non-warped gateway play a more viable path while increasing overall strategic diversity across all three races. In addition, a range of quality of life improvements has been implemented to enhance the overall player experience. I'm going to make a prediction. Uh, Terrans are going to be allowed to choose which side their add-ons go on. We're talking about quality of life, and from what I've read, I'm getting distracted. That's my prediction. Economy, starting workers reduced from 12 to 8. Default large mineral patch resource count reduced from 1800 to 1600. Default small mineral patch resource count increased from 900 to 1200. Total default minerals per base increased from 10.8 to 11.2. Default Vespene Geyser resource count increased from 2250 to 25. Total default gas per base increased from 45 to 5,000 and 4,500 to 5,000. And rich Vespene gas geyser harvest return value decreased from 8 to 6. I'll probably just talk about these changes before I move on to the next like big subsection. This here all makes sense with what they're trying to do up here. One of the things that I'm hugely happy about is it's gonna make cheese more viable. Because all you see every single game are these dumb bland games where Terran always loses and Protoss always beats Terran and then Zerg always beats Protoss. And then you have Terran or you have Zerg mopping up the Terran and the Protoss. I am very excited for the cheeses that could come out of this. Very excited. Um, this change, I don't know why they didn't change golden minerals. Maybe they thought those are balanced. This change is probably just to keep the rest of this in line because then uh, the rich Vespids would probably be really strong. Zerg. Hatchery, lair, and hive. Supplies provided reduced from 6 to 4. Creep spread received rate slowed from 45.45 to 0.55. No idea what that means. Spore crawler. Damage against biological units increased from 20 to plus 10 against biological to 20 to plus 15 against biological. Okay. Wow. Carapace upgrades. Level 1 cost decreased from 150 to 100. Level 2 cost decreased from 200 to 150. And level 3 cost decreased from 250 to 200. Infestor. Microbial Shroud. Range increased from 9 to 12. Can now be cast without requiring an upgrade from the Infestation Pit. Neural Parasite on Builder SCVs will only expire at structure completion. Now has an auto attack weapon like the High Templar. Thank you. Who's next? The Viper? The Viper needs an auto attack weapon, maybe. A Viper abduct now considers sieged tanks a valid target. Okay. Overlord. Speed without pneumatized carapace decreased from 0.9 to 0.7. So it's way slower. Wow, queens are gonna catch that like crazy. Wow. Hmm. Can now issue load nearby unit commands Overseer changelings automatically inherit the current order queue of the casting overseer. Great quality of life, I like that. Changeling deaths are contagious to other nearby changelings. All right. Mutalisks. Mutalisk glaives now prioritize targets. As opposed to what? I don't understand this. Arc slop increased to 180. I don't understand this. Okay. Uh, obviously, this is the most fun one because you could neural parasite a probe before and you just build something. Now you can actually neural. It's just this fun little thing. I love it. Um, I don't have to say about it. I have no idea what this is. This is probably just going in line with the rest of the changes, making it more. Um, it makes it so you need an overlord sooner rather than later. This only affects mutalisks actually, and vipers. I guess not just mutalisks. Mutalisks, vipers, broodlords, and corruptors, and overlords, overseers. I think that's everything in the Zerg era. But realistically, just mutalisks, because over broodlords aren't going to get within range most of the time. Vipers maybe. Overlords, it's a real ever be really niche. So they just want spore crawlers to be stronger against mutas. Carapace upgrades. I love it. This is cool. I don't know why, but I like it. This somebody once said StarCraft 2 is just getting closer and closer and closer to StarCraft Brood War. And this is like Dark Shroud, Microbial Shroud. It's just like Dark Shroud in Brood War. And it's please use Microbial Shroud. Please. Oops, something just beeped. I don't know what. Okay. We still have audio, so Abduct now considers siege tanks a valid target. I don't know why they reverted this. Evidently, they didn't like it. Speed without pneumatized carapace decreased from 0.9 to 0.7. It's going to be a lot easier for queens, or at least somewhat easier for queens. Because even though they do outrun overlords, they're just going to be so slow. I bet you a barracks will now outrun an overlord. Can now issue load nearby units command. This is probably a quality of life thing. You can build 16 Zorglisks into OVs and like path them around to your opponent's base, and then instead of box selecting them and telling them to load by right clicking on the overlords, I guess you can hit the button. I'd be curious as to what order. Probably just anything nearby, like the nearest stuff everybody tries to load. Overseer. Changelings automatically inherit current order queue of the casting overseer. Love it. Changelings' deaths are contagious to other nearby changelings. So a bit of a buff and a nerf in both of these. So you'd have to spread out your changelings if you want them to not be deathly contagious. And the top one is so it doesn't just sit there. I'm not going to talk about this because I don't know what's going on with that. So, Terran. Command Center supplies reduced from 15 to 13. Same thing as the hatchery. Oop, that's Protoss. Oh, I must have read all through the Terrans, actually. Ghost. Supply increased from 2 to 3. They keep changing this. Health reduced from 125 to 100. Attack damage changed from 10 to plus 10 against light to 20. So now it's just 20s to everything. Attack range increased. Wow, okay. From 6 to 7. Steady targeting damage increased from 130 to plus 40 to psionic, which only affected high Templars. Maybe also Vipers, but I doubt it. To 170 overall. Who does that impact? Marauders. Oh, well, Broodlords? Most things. Not Protoss. Energy cost increased. No longer cancels upon taking damage. Okay, Medevac can issue load nearby units commands. Subgroup priority updated from Raven, Ghost, Battlecruiser, Marine Marauder Siege Tank to Ghost, Marine plus Marauder, Raven, interesting, Battlecruiser Siege Tank. I guess that makes it so you don't have to tab twice Actually, Ghost, Raven Ghost, Marine Marauder. Yeah, because of normal army compositions, you're gonna have to tab twice through your army if you've got Ghosts and Ravens, or tab once if you've got a Raven. This, I'll finish. Okay, so this is actually a buff to rate to Raven players. Um, Before, one of the big negatives about building Ravens is to stim, you've got to hit tab. Um, because your ghost your Raven's taking priority. To stim, you just had to hit tab every single time. Um, Now you don't have to hit tab, which is a buff to Terran. Because now you can just hit stim. You box everything, and as long as you don't have any ghosts in the army, just hit stim. Just hit Z for stim because I play grid. Um, and if you want your Raven abilities, then you hit tab because that's a lot. You stim a lot more than you use your Raven abilities with when you got your whole army box selected, and when you've got a Raven behind their mineral line, you're not trying to stim, so there's no Marines in that control group. Yeah, big buff to at least quality of life buff to Terran players who use Ravens. I predict Ravens will become at least a little bit more popular with this change because otherwise it was difficult to deal with stim. Ghost. They keep changing the ghost. This is weird. So this was a buff from the last patch that they reverted. Attack damage changed. This is a big buff to ghosts, actually. Big buff to ghosts. Um, because the price didn't change. The supply increased, but the price didn't change. They have 25 less HP. Uh, but they do so much more auto attack damage. They have more range. Their snipe, uh, I wouldn't say their snipe is just better, because that's a lot more. That's 50% more energy. But as by and large, I would call this a buff to ghosts. Um, they're still not light unit. No, they are light units. That change never got reverted. Um, in the last patch, they changed ghosts from biological units to light units and give them this extra 25 HP. In this case, they are still light units. They didn't revert that. Um, it's actually a nerf against Zerg? I don't know. Because Banelings will be really, really good against ghosts. Also, it depends on what changes were made to the Disruptor. Because before, a Disruptor couldn't one-shot a ghost, I believe. Now, I think the Disruptor does 145 damage. I think a Disruptor, yeah, because it does spell damage. It did like 100. A Disruptor should one-shot a ghost now. Um, we'll find out. Protoss. Nexus supplies provided reduced from 15 to 13. Warp Gate. Research moved to the gateway from the Cybercore. Warp Gate research speeds up gateway unit production time by 35%. Transformed to Warp Gate. Cost increased from 00 to 50/50. Warp in time is no longer determined by slow power fields. Whoa! Warp in time decreased from 3 seconds to 3 seconds from 3.16 seconds and 11.4 seconds. Warp gate cooldown values. Zealot from 20 to 22. From 20 to 22 for the Adept. Stalker 23 to 22. A buff. Sentry from 23 to 22. High Templar from 32 to 35. They're changing based. I guess they were before and I just didn't know. Dark Templar from 32 to 35. Gateway. Wait, who knows? Pre-production time values. Pre-warp gate production time values. 27 to 28. 30 to 28, 27 to 28, 23 to 24, 32 to 40, 32 to 40. Post warp gate production time values 18, 18, 18, 16, 26, 26. Okay. Sentries, hallucinations automatically inherit the current order queue of the casting sentry. Order queue. I don't know what that is. It's what's queued up. Maybe movement? I'm not sure. Uh, that's got to be movement. So if they tell the sentry to move to the natural and then move to the main base and then queue up a hallucinated phoenix, that's I'm assuming that's what the hallucination will do. And then you just tell the sentry to go somewhere else. Psy storm total damage reduced from 110 to 100. What was my prediction at the start of the game? Something about disruptors. Oh no, the Terran things. Which I actually read Terran, but they didn't give the Terrans add-ons on the other side. Okay, my prediction failed. Uh, Disruptor now has a phantom attack, so it doesn't do any damage, I assume, but it doesn't wander into the enemy. That's good. Warp Prism can issue load nearby unit commands. Okay, no changes to the Disruptor. Okay, so what that means is when you have a tightly packed clump of 3 supply ghosts, this Disruptor is going to kill 30 supply ghosts if he gets like a center mass shot. The Marauders are still not going to be one shot, but the ghosts now will be one shot. Okay. This thing occurs. This crazy. No more slow power fields. Warp in time is even faster than before, all around. Because this was like a slow power field impact, and this is the fast power field. So it's a buff. This is a buff here from 3.6 to 3. Crazier, although I would argue not quite as crazy as the starting workers reduced from 12 to 8. It costs to make warp gates now. So you don't have it on the cyber core, but it just makes the unit production time faster, if you remember. It now costs money to build your warp gates individually, by the looks of it. Warp gate research. Move to the gateway. Okay, maybe it's not. Okay, I think I'm incorrect here. I think it's still a research. Yeah, so it's not an individual thing that you have to buy on every single warp gate. I think it's just a one-time. You could just get it on a gateway instead of here, instead of the cyber core. I'm not entirely sure here. What I think is I think it'll be on the gateway, but it's still a research because they call it a research here. I don't think it's going to cost 50/50. That would be crazy. Yeah, it's not going to cost 50/50 for every single warp gate. Transform to warp gate cost increased. But this makes it seem like it will cost 50/50 for every single gateway. I don't know. Because this makes it appear that it's like one direction. This makes it appear the other direction. Okay, so, but it's gonna be faster to build stuff with warp gates. 35%. Oof. That makes me think, I don't know. This makes me think that it will be 50/50 per gateway because 35% is a lot, but they say warp gate research. Like 35% is a huge deal. It's effectively having, uh, if you have three gateways, you effectively have a fourth gateway for the cost of 150. I don't know. I'm still leaning toward it's a one-time cost for one warp gate that does it on everything. I'm not going to look at the numbers. It's shorter by 35%. Sidestorm total damage reduced from 110 to 100. This is probably trying to help Terran. Terran was struggling pre-patch. Like Clem doesn't want to play Terran against Protoss. So it's possible that the balance council is nodding towards that. Okay. I'm curious what nerfs were made to Protoss. Let's see here. To make Terran willing to play against them. Not much. It's in fact that's a buff. It's really just the High Templar, honestly. And whatever the heck this is. And the 12 to 8 probes or workers is crazy. Bugs, fixes, and quality of life updates. Fix an issue where a carrier interceptor is owned due to a player casting Neural Parasite would not inherit the opponent's upgrades. EMP visuals do not input clear visual indication of the effect radius of affected units. Fix an issue where motherships would warp in adjacent to the Nexus rather than over top, where Guardian Shield visuals would persist after being loaded. I think I've seen that. Melee units targeting builder SCVs would lose the attack order when the SCV moved through the structure. So that's an interesting change. Before, what you had to do was you had to right click on, let's say you're harassing their barracks. You have to take your probe, right click their SCV, hold shift, right click it 5 more times. Looks like now you don't have to do that anymore. Fixed an issue where you could not have build orders queued sequentially onto structures already being constructed by another SCV. This is also interesting. What this does is when you have units trying to build, SCVs trying to build a bunker or a missile turret, and they're trying to kill the SCV on the bunker slash missile turret, you can grab your entire mineral line, right click on the bunker or missile turret, and every time it dies, one will automatically go to it. This is another quality of life thing, not a bug, I would say. It's just something that is StarCraft 2. And now all of them will just queue up onto constructing that building. Fixed an issue which is another buff to Terran. How big of a buff? This is a nerf to Terran. Not that huge of a buff, but it's something. Fixed an issue where Guardian Shield visuals would not update player color post initialization. It doesn't matter. Fixed an issue where the KD8 charge could knock back immobile units during recall. Fixed an issue where the KD8 charge lacked a placement model and an area of effect radius cursor indicator. Okay. Fixed an issue where the KD8 charge would be thrown in front of a target rather than at the targeted cast point, where some units' spells would not trigger Protoss shield damage graphics. Doesn't matter. Like a little bit. Did I hit it? Did I not? Fixed an issue where the units with burrow move would lose their current orders when told to burrow. Okay, so now they'll keep doing what they were told to when they buffed a Zerg. Okay. Fixed an issue where Zerg rocks were lacking polish. Now uses correct wireframe, has a Zerg building armor icon, and uses animation state to communicate health level. Fixed an issue where a variation of large diagonal rocks did not receive an attack command if certain portions of rock were within vision but not others. This is long, wow. Fixed an issue where attack commands with adept shades. I'm gonna get some water real quick. One second. There's lots of this. All right. Fixed an issue where attack commands with adept shades in the selection behaved erratically. Example, finishing a shade caused the attack target to be lost if the command was not issued by a smart command right click. Units could unexpectedly move command. Okay, it's a buff to Protoss, I guess. Fixed an issue where Nexus had no indication. Where the Nexus had no indication Nexus retail nor energy recharge abilities. Cooldowns are global. Command card displays charge counters and meaning about it displays all Nexus range radius, whatever. Fix an issue where Nexus energy recharge. Nexus energy recharge ability range radius actor would display permanently rather than when the ability was being targeted. Fix an issue where the lurk attack spike sounds could be heard through the fog for. Okay. Fixed an issue where lurker eggs lacked polish during creation destruction. Eggs take less time to appear due to faster birth animation and play death cry to communicate when destroyed. Alright, cool. Fixed an issue where warp prism could not display an unload, blah blah blah. Visual model. We're gonna read this. Where warp prism would not display a load range radius actor when the ability was being targeted. Pick up buff thing. Fixed issue was highly reported to queue, pickup orders, Banelings in splash range, but killed would not spawn an audio queue. Full birth animation. Told to build a stasis while overlapping. This thing is huge. Distinct audio queue. Move command underneath it. Nerf to Protoss. Colossus could not be created unloaded. Predicted Colossus drop positioning. Void Ray prismatic line termination audio queue. Immortal barrier. Beam attack visuals would not terminate. Okay. Sentry auto attack change. It's more fluid, I guess. It's more clear. Cyclone unable to damage friendly cloaked / burrowed units. The ghost. So the Cyclone couldn't auto attack ghosts or other certain units in team games. Does the Cyclone auto attack shoot up? I don't know. If that case, maybe Banshees would be included. Where the Head Templars were not proportionate in size, volume to the impact. Blah, blah, blah. Graphic thingy. Would not face their channeled graviton target. Prior to its abduct tongue, would not cancel the abduct. Ah, I understand that. That's really cool. Nexus blinding cloud visuals. Planetaries lacked or had misleading visual or audio indicators. Whatever. Archons lacked visual and audio indicators. Increased color states. Blah, blah, blah. Swarm host. Let me read this again. Oh, I see. So it's got the, if you click on it, I don't know if you have to hover over the Z button but it's got this dotted white line around it. It'll show how far you can click. And now if there are none off cooldown, there's going to be no dotted white line. Swarm host range, that's the same thing with disruptors. Swarm host lacked an equipment weapon display indicator for the locust, whatever. Gradually and unnoticeably, so its microbial shroud is more visual now. Hellbat walk animation speed was faster than expected. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Lacked placement and placeholder models. Okay. If a research structure was active, okay, so it's now they'll do more visual stuff. When injecting Queen's Shuffle, allowing reissuing inject during ongoing cast, so orders are not offloaded to others queen. Long range orders are invalid if another queen is nearby the target hatchery. Okay. Proved an issue where primary would lose their order. Heavens, how long is this? Okay, we're almost done. Where units with the primary attack or on a changeling would lose their order if this changeling disguised itself. Improved an issue. So they may still shoot the changeling. Improved an issue. Did it say changed or improved up there? Some of these say fixed. This one says improved. Weird. Workers adjacent and move command to a geyser now upgrade their command to a gather order if a refinement structure gets built. And move commanding to a geyser. Whoa! So you don't miss your, it's a lot harder to miss your, something beeped again. This thing, it's a new headset, it keeps beeping. Crazy. So now if you miss the geyser, they'll just automatically go to the geyser. And the geyser doesn't have to be built yet. I assume you'll be able to right click it on the geyser and then build the geyser, and eventually they'll just go and start working when the geyser finishes. To a gather order if a refinement structure gets built. Wow, okay. I love it. Great change. Zeldnaga towers cannot be selected through the fog of war. They show their vision raised when selected. Active creep tumors take selection precedence over inactive creep tumors. Active creep tumors, and that should definitely happen. I don't know why that didn't happen before. Creep tumors in a control group at the time of exhausting the trial transfer control group membership to the spread tumor. I love it. Wow. Oh, that's a huge deal. Whoa. So now you don't have to control click your tumors. This is a huge deal in Kerrigan survival. Whoa. Active creep tumors in a control group. Wow. Critters and destructible neutral objects have been standardized to share similar targeting, selection, and collision values. Um, I think one of the issues with that is that was actually games have been lost over this. There was someone who was trying to build a cannon, but there was a dog in this 4 square hex, and so he couldn't put a cannon there. He was cannon rushing. And he didn't know or didn't have the time or something that if you click it a bunch of times, it'll kill the dog. Um, the games have been lost over this. Now I assume they'll all just have 5 HP or something. Um, or they'll no longer collide with block player structures or units. Larva eggs will no longer collide with or block player structures or units. Interesting. Um, I don't know exactly what this is going to do. Locusts that were previously uncommittal during the swoop animation are now also unselectable. If already selected, they will stay selected. Okay. Neural Parasite will now add the target unit to the current selection if it contains only one infestor. Sure. Protoss structures generate additional damaged graphical models. I love it! Because before, you've got the Zerg structures that spurt blood. You have the Terran structures that catch on fire. Uh, in Brood War, the Protoss structures would catch fire. But they get a model now. I love it. As larva increases, they will now spread further upwards towards the side of the hatchery. Larva will start from the bottom. Okay. Music selection for spectators to create a pool of suitable tracks for spectating. Duplicate entries have been removed. Love it. Poor polished oracles, revelation, and build animations. High Templars and Ravagers are less likely to aggro toward faraway targets. Tell that to the Colossi. Warp Prism and Raven to visual fly height to minimize clipping inside other models, and reduced Warp Prism shadow size and low graphics to minimize shadow casting on offload units. Commands to unsiege Warp Prisms will now be issued to all Warp Prisms in the selection. Okay. Healing Shrine visual sounds, minor polish. Warp Prism will attempt to immediately siege rather than prioritizing deceleration. That may look funny. Support tools include proper work-only path indicators, no resource footprints, air unit height modified. Okay, blah blah blah. Mule repair is set to auto cast by default. Mules of the harvest order still do not attempt to repair units. At least 4 great quality of life changes in here. Probably tons more. There's like 50 or more. But I love it. This is great for StarCraft. Good stuff in here. A lot of this is, I think, gambly. The biggest changes are definitely the warp gate. Depends on how this works, and this here. The microbial shroud is pretty cool. I would like to see more microbial shroud. But I think the biggest change is this and the warp gate change. Love it. It's taken us 35 minutes to get through this. Wow. Um, go play some StarCraft. This is on the public test realm. And you gotta get to that in a special way. Let's open the Blizzard BattleNet launcher real quick. I clicked it, didn't I? I'm tired. So to get to the public test realm, you have to go down here. StarCraft 2 public test realm. That's PTR. PTR. Um, so to play this on this new patch notes, you'll probably have to play right on here. I don't know if this is coming out immediately. Like not immediately. I don't know if this is what we're gonna see here is what is going to go into effect, because previously what we've seen happen was they shoot forth all these changes and then they dial it back when they release it to the actual when they release it into actual play. So it's possible not all of this goes into effect. Warp gate stuff seems weird. Not sure how it's gonna work. This here is going to change every single build order in existence forever. Like every single build order. Um, as patch notes go, a lot more quality of life. I like the disruptor change here. I like the infestor change that gave it an auto attack. I'm curious why the disruptor doesn't have an auto attack of its own. Um, what I assume is going on here is because like we haven't seen huge changes in the units. Just lots of quality of life stuff. Strange that maybe they're mimicking the Protoss and the Terran cost upgrades, and that's definitely a buff for Zerg. It's possible that they're just because we didn't see that many unit changes, so like Viper reversion and Infestor. Um, it's possible that they're interested in just doing this and seeing what happens, seeing what changes, what shakeups need to occur, what roaches are one supply that need to get upped to two because 200 roaches is just crazy. Oh, if you showed up, I appreciate you. This is Small StarCraft 2. I'm still trying to do the Age of Mythology content. Maybe I'll be able to record some Saturday and release it Sunday. I don't know. But if you showed up, I appreciate you. Again, this is Small StarCraft 2. Have a great rest of your day.